Cool beans. Cool beans it is. Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. We are working. I see we have a working mic today. I guess it pays to be 4 minutes late, and then the mic works. Well, there's so many people that could be on YouTube going live at the same time with regular channels, all kind of platforms, Patreon channels, and things of that nature. I'm usually here as much as I can be every Thursday. Glad to see you have arrived. What I've been doing for the past 2 months is also using my phone to simulcast the same time through Instagram, my Instagram account. Because some people, are not on their YouTube channels. So the mic is working, somebody's watching, someone put the thumbs up. Thank you. We got an interesting topic today. And I don't know how long I'm going to be on because I've been doing something called channeling. And I was invited to do some channeling back in on Mother's Day. Uh, and I channeled Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And I mentioned something about hybrid children through them. And so I had an opportunity to go again with this group of people called High Vibe Channeling, and they did a bridging of the worlds as they call it, just on Sunday, June the 1st. So if you want to find out more information about those two parts where I did the channeling, you could also. Ooh, Holly Hemmett's here. Jackie Fillmore's here. Stoked Culture is here. Woohoo! And so, if you want to be able to review them, simply head over to simply head over or email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com, and I'll give you the Way Showers TV link on YouTube where they channel. And I have a great group of people from literally all over the place. So I'm meeting new people, and that's good for me. Now I'm going to set my phone up here to get my mic on my phone first of all, and segue over to my Instagram channel and see what happens. Let me type it in. Excuse me for a second. How's everybody doing? How was your weekend so far? Weekend from last week. And how's your week so far right now? Are you having a good time? Are you feeling better? I've been dealing with a little bit of sinus congestion, but it's all dealing with the weather and everything else that's happening over here in the Southwest and everything else you can imagine. Today's topic is going to be quite interesting. I got 12 different points to cover, and learning how to do that so I'm not wandering all over the place. And then we can get started as soon as I get this in here properly for whoever is going to pop on. And I just like to make sure people are having an opportunity to view me in a different format. If I had my iPad working, I would probably go another route with that. Let's see. Get the phone to be stable. Okay, the phone is now stable. And welcome everybody to Clear Blue Radiance. Today is Thursday, June the 5th, 2025, and I am the originator and the host, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I've been a spiritual counselor for quite some time, over 40 years helping people, maybe about 45 now, helping people just understand where they're at, who they are, where they're going in their life, helping people to have greater clarity for themselves and understand their purpose, or help them find what that purpose is at this very moment for themselves. Many of you know I've been a numerologist since 1974. I've been the most popular guest on Lloyd Strayhorn's radio show back in the day when he was on WLIB with Numbers NU. And I've been on his YouTube channel as well. Well, I'm here right now for Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics. This is the channel here on YouTube that you can come to and hear some interesting topics, whether it's coming from me with my Clear Blue Radiance on Thursdays, or usually around 1 or 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, or you could pick up some of the things that Michelle Vidal does. She will talk about some of the different events that are happening at our new location that we've been at now for over a year, about maybe getting to be a year and a half. I wish many of you lived out here because we're having a psychic fair and we got new hours. We're going from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every second Sunday, usually every second Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we are able to now to have vendors outside the building before you enter, and then as well as those of us who are inside the building, and we have a variety of topics going on. Good morning, Melanie Hall. Now, Melanie is, when she says good morning, it's Friday for her out there in Australia. So, this is great to be able to do this. And there's more and more things happening as we begin to expand. It Resident Essentials is now known as Resident Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics, and it is nonprofit organization. Just this weekend, actually last weekend, from Friday all the way Friday evening for a few hours, and then all day Saturday from 8 a.m. I think up to about 4 or 5 p.m., and then Sunday again, and then Monday. In those days from Friday to Monday of this week, of last week, we had the grandmothers in. The Maori grandmothers were here. They were here last year, and they did something with seeding the earth, ceremonies and rituals. There was a lot of people there, and I was glad to know that there was a lot of women there, because it's for everybody, but women need to be more empowered as we go through this change, this major shift that is going on. I'm glad to be here on the planet and a part of this shift, and be able to link up with new thought mind masters on the planet. And one of them is Dr. Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. He and I are now coming together. So at age 73, I got some life that I can, new things that I could experience. Good afternoon, Rose. Good afternoon, Jackie, Stoke Culture, Melanie Hall is good morning because it's Friday for her right now. To Rose Jefferson also, and to Holly Hammond, good to see you here as well. So I'm going to get started with this topic because I've been using a lot of energy and I'm striving to change how I eat. So what's happening is I'm eating about 1 or 2 meals a day through the intermittent fasting. So I eat whatever my body calls for. And so it's been helping because I'm gradually streamlining my weight. My weight is now starting to come down and be whatever that is for me at age 73 and going forward in my life. One of the things I should say too, if you need more information about what Resident Essentials does, you can go to its website, which is www.resonantessentials.com. And then when you page opens up, there's usually a calendar of events for each month that you see right there. And then there's bars at the top. You can find out who the practitioners are, because the practitioners can also counsel or read you from a distance. You don't have to necessarily be right at the location. Okay, they can do it over the phone. They got their Zoom platforms that they can connect with you. And Michelle Vidal, she's the president, but she's the founder. She's been doing this a long time as well. You could also check out business groups that are connected. I'm one of them. And there's a woman by the name of Bayla Portsling. She's another person. She lives out here, and she's also teaches people business. Okay, the mechanics of business. And her and Michelle do something together, which is a spiritual hub for business entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs like myself, and small businesses that are more spiritual oriented. And it's helping people reach out to throughout the city, the suburbs of Albuquerque, going all the way up to Santa Fe and all the way down into Los Lunas and Belen, New Mexico. So we're here to shower you with higher consciousness and help you get there. Uh, Michelle Vidal is an excellent teacher. She's been teaching just as long as I have. And she has her book called Mastering Metaphysics. Very nice, thin book, but it's got beautiful content inside. And she teaches you how to connect with your. She talks about the spirit team that you have around you. We all give it different names. I call them a spirit family. And you realize how you can connect and bring forth what you already have naturally inside of yourself. So this is highly important. Let me say hello to Kid Pebbles, one of my spiritual daughters. Some of my spiritual daughters are on here on YouTube as well. I want to thank Carol Nay Renee. Excuse me, I was just reading her handle. Thank you, Carol, for joining. Kid Pebbles for joining. Oh, good. You can see it. Yes. Thank you. Today's topic is called Are You Ready to Be Embraced and Showered by Grace? Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to talk about until it's like when I get up in the morning. Very rare do I know the day before or several days in advance. I can tell you this is podcast number 210 or 211. So I've been podcasting for Resident Essentials on their YouTube channel here for about a little over 4 years now. Maybe I have not done maybe 6 or 7, needed to take a break. So, what is grace? You hear me use the term all the time. Right back there, right there, right there is my logo symbol, and it's Circle of Grace 1, and it has a meditation person in the middle. For those of you that know or don't know what the one is for, the one is for the first person named Grace in my life, and that is my late biological mother, who I found out many other years uh, being in college that she was my first metaphysical, psychic, spiritual teacher, giving me a lot of wisdom, trying to figure out stuff and all of that. She also had been with me through several lifetimes, where I was her father, her mother, and other lifetimes. And she has entered this one to kind of complete the task of raising me metaphysically and spiritually so I could connect with the rest of the world in a way that I could help influence and help impact, help teach the world. And that's very, very important. And here's the thing we have to realize: we are in the age or time for the divine feminine to be out there. Now, what's happening is there's a lot of women, as you know, who are not up quite up to where they're supposed to be, and some who are in what we call, in street terms, a trick bag, right? They're not even allowing themselves to be free from the patriarchal mindset that we have been seeing running around for the past 2,000 years. And now it's time again for the divine feminine, the divine mother energy to be heard throughout the world. There used to be a tarot deck. I had it at one time. I gave a lot of my tarot decks away. I can't even find them now. But I had a tarot deck that was called Mother Peace, Motherpeace, written as one word. It was put out by the U.S. game systems, card systems, because they're the ones that put out all the tarot decks. There's over 800 or more tarot decks out there that people know, and the Mother Peace Tarot deck was perfectly round cards, and it was devoted to women around the world as mothers, shamans, medicine people, teachers, crone energy, maiden energy, you name it. And it gave you a significant amount of information about women in the world, how women nurture humanity. They give birth to humanity. They carry humanity. They have the true balance. And so this is very, very important. And this is why I understand after 40 plus years the importance of my mother in my life. Yeah, I had my ups and downs. I wasn't the greatest. I will say I wasn't a bad kid. I had my moments when I thought I was like, I don't like how things are being run in this household when I was a little kid, a little boy. But I hung in there and I listened to all the my mother and her sisters, and then found out later they had their own little circle of things going on where they could see what was happening in the lives of other people. So I had an opportunity to learn and remain on the path and then be introduced to her circle of friends. See, she wanted to establish on paper a circle of metaphysical friends, men and women, teaching. Now, she experienced in her family growing up being a Eastern Star. My dad, on his side of the family, he learned some masonry, and then when they all came north during the time of the Depression, the early stages of the Depression, and coming north and settling in various locations outside of the state of Georgia, they came in touch with Masonic orders again. My mother also ventured into becoming a Rosicrucian and a member, an active member of the Rosicrucian Society on Long Island organization, and an active member of Astara. And those two organizations are still out there on in the world. And you can join them at any time and learn all kinds of things. I became a member for about a 3 year stretch after I got out of college. I got out of college in 1974. I studied Christian Science. I studied the science of mind teachings earlier, a little bit of the unity thereafter. I was a Rosicrucian member for about 3 years. I think I hit about second or third degree rank level or degree. I met a lot of other people, and then I met her association of people. So by me having this chance coming out of college, I had a chance to start at Circle of Grace One in her honor. of the things that she taught me, and I still use a lot of her principles and teachings. And if you want to know what they are, get my book called Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace, and you can get that on Amazon along with my many of my other books. So, what is grace? One of the better definitions I found today on grace, and the definitions keep changing. You might see it from a Christian metaphysical spiritual side, or a Catholic metaphysics. The reason I put the word metaphysics in there, whether it's Catholic or whether it's Christian, because there's 73 sects, SECTS. And each one of them are teaching metaphysical principles within their teachings. But you got to like delve into it to see what it is. Okay, there are many people. My mom was a person who could pull out the metaphysical teachings inside of the biblical scriptures. She could actually do it. And she was one of those people that prayed incessantly. So even though she helped my dad run a radio and TV business that they had on Long Island, she also was in that Bible studying, pulling out information. She was like grooving through that. So, what is grace? Grace is when you receive help from a divine source. I'm going to say that again. Grace is when you receive some kind of help from a divine source. Now, when you receive this help, it's without any special favor. Now, many of you, if you've grown up in like Southern Baptist Christian churches and things, or African Methodist Episcopalian churches, and you speak to some of the elders, elder women who are ministers, they're pastors in their own right, but they're the elders because of their age, and elder men, and sometimes other people. And people might ask an elder mother, "Oh, mother so and so, how you doing today?" And she might say something like, "I'm I'm blessed and highly favored." They would always use that terms. I am blessed and highly favored. That means they do a lot of prayer and a lot of fasting. As one of my elder teachers used to say, they would turn a plate down. One of the dinner, breakfast, or lunch, they're not eating a meal. In that hour's time, they're in prayer mode, meditating through prayer to receive deeper insight about themselves, about the universe, and so on and so forth. But you don't have to receive any special favor. You don't have to be merited. It means you don't have to do something specifically in order to pull grace into your life. Now, however, you do have to be open minded here. You can't come across into this room of grace, in the upper room to get grace, and have this cluttered. And I'm going to give you 12 different things you need to be aware of. And it's, these 12 things are just some of these things you need to be aware of. Yes, Carol says it here. Yes, Southern Baptist Church. Now, some of them were good, and some of them locked you into place. Some of them, the ministers, especially the male ministers, sometimes they had you living in fear. I know because I've experienced such. But sometimes when I would sit in Sunday school as a child, I would ask this question that seemed to be disturbing. And one of the questions I would always ask would be, well, if Jesus was like, if Moses, like I would say, if Moses is going around in a circle for 40 years, I said, that's like living here, never leaving the town or village area that you live in. You don't see nothing else outside of the place you're hanging out. Now, this is not a judgment call, but I'm quite sure many of you know people who are living in a specific area where they grew up at and they never leave it. They're just there. Now, sometimes they're there because maybe they don't have the finances to move out and to be able to expand the mind, more and meet other people. But there are some people who don't want to. They're being urged by spirit within to move to go into another place, another town, outside of the town where they live, outside of the state where they live, outside of the region that that state is in. You know, I took a bold step only because my late mother had told me that living on the East Coast is where I'm not supposed to be. I would have better connection if I went to Albuquerque. And I didn't know what Albuquerque was, but I knew when I got out of college that I was supposed to actually travel to Arizona because I wanted to see the art and, of the Indian, quote unquote, Indians. I wanted to see the art of the Southwest because when I was in college, I was studying art, Mexican art, and the art of the Southwest. And so, but I didn't go because my father had an issue with alcoholism. So he was kind of, it delayed my journey, but it's okay. I'm here now. And so I could see the art of the Southwest and how it works, landscapes mainly. Okay. But getting back to this, we have to be open hearted and open minded. That's very important. Open hearted and open minded. I'll say it again. You want to be open heart, open mind. In other words, you don't want to have any preconceived concepts of what you might think grace is. Because grace, the spirit of grace, is infinite. It is part of the bigger structure. It is part of the I am presence, as it's called. It's more than just Christ consciousness, it's Buddhic consciousness and more. Okay? But you don't have to work for it to get it. That's where you might hear something like some other cliches. God protects fools and babies, right? Somebody does something foolish and boom, they're saved, so to speak. They're protected. They're not getting run over by a truck or a car, not getting, they get thrown off a horse, not getting stampeded by a horse or anything like that. So a lot of things a person can go through without any true spiritual knowledge and be redirected so that they're not harmed physically. So, how can you be open minded and open hearted? I give just 12 basic ways. These are not the only ways, there are other ways. One, tame your ego. We all have this ego personality part. It's the side that's supposed to act like a filter. In other words, you see things, you hear things, whether you see it on the news, hear it on the radio, get it on your cell phone, get it on your iPad, laptop, desktop, or word of mouth, or reading it in a magazine or newspaper. That ego side is supposed to save you from running into issues. But when it gets clouded with the me, myself, and I personality vibration, then you don't pick up things properly. You don't see what you're supposed to see. You wind up doing something incorrectly that could block your awareness, block your ability to expand. So your ego. Now, some people coin ego as edging God out, meaning that you're not paying attention to the divine presence that's in your life that you are a part of. We're all a part of the integral, bigger structure, sacred geometrical vibrations within and outside as we radiated the frequencies we give off. Another thing is learning how to be grateful, be in a state of gratitude for what you do have. Usually, if you appreciate the very littlest things that you have, you begin to see more. You begin to see a lot more. Okay. Sometimes we need to see a bigger picture. So sometimes I was speaking to, I was at a birthday bash, as they call it, in my senior complex yesterday. And I hadn't gone to one in a long time, but now that our leasing office is back open and fixed up from a fire, I went. And it was good because I got to see people that are new here. And I've been here since 2018. Yeah, since springtime of 2018. I got to meet all these new people that have been in and out that I haven't seen here before. So one of the things I got a chance to express, and I might be able to do it. We're going to see. Uh, I can teach meditation here during the week for about an hour. I think I want to use a Tuesday so people can learn how to meditate. Seniors need it the most because there are a lot of people smoking the medical marijuana and they're still not as calm as they can be. So teaching them how to meditate will be the ideal way for them to feel much better and not dependent upon the medical weed so much. Some people can't even get it. So being able to learn meditation, I could share that with them. And it's for people who are definitely interested, but I can't close anybody out. It's for everybody. Who knows? I might wind up teaching it twice. So, one of the things is learning how to be grateful for what you have and to be in a state of humility, to always be humble. That what goes along with that is when you're grateful and you're humble, you're also saying that you don't know everything. That's what is also good. You realize that you do not know everything. And here's the great thing: you don't have to know everything. You don't have to see the final destination. Some people are afraid to see their future or their destiny, so to speak. Other people are interested in knowing what that is or what it could be for themselves. And many of you on here, whether you're on Instagram right now viewing me or on our YouTube channel here for Resonant Essentials, I know many of you have an opportunity to give counsel to other people. And it's very important right now with all the nonsense we see in the world politically that's going down. People need to have a connection. They need to know that they could reach out to someone, whether they pay them to counsel or read them psychically or not, but just to know that you're there is the most important thing. The third thing is live in your heart and mind. Live in your heart and mind with unconditional love for yourself and others. So we're not talking about, oh, I love you kind of emotional loving, but it's getting in what we call the spiritual love, the agape kind of love, where you love unconditionally because you can see where a person is in this moment in their life, especially if you are transparent enough with yourself. You will begin to see who you are, and you'll realize that you're much better than what you think about yourself. In other words, this podcast today is about uplifting yourself with unconditional love, joy, happiness, and harmonic peace. To be able to recognize what you have, what you can give toward others. I also want to say hi to Indigo Moon because I know she's in there. She's on the YouTube side. Don't want to forget her. Um, I also want you to be aware of is that you strive to live your life. Strive to live your life without judgment. Now that's hard because throughout our life, we're being judged by our friends, our family members, extended family relatives, your neighbors, your peers, people you go to school with. Somebody's always judging. You got the bully that wants to pick on people; they're judging people, but the bully don't want to be judged. And then you find out the bully later is a narcissistic person, and they don't want to be judged, but they're busy judging people or cutting people off from the person they want to victimize. So they start cutting away their friends, their family members, their co-workers. Why? Because they'll have more control over that person. They can manipulate that person if they don't have any lifelines going out, the buoys going out. Okay. So you got to be very careful who is in your circle, who you befriend, who you share information with. And one of the things we definitely got to learn, and we learned this from our childhood days into our adult lives, you cannot share your personal information with other people because you know you got talkers, right? You always got somebody walking around that takes a little bit of information that you shared with them about your life and broadcast it out into the world without you knowing. But then you do find out because your ears are itching, your eyes are itching, and this is not sinus congestion. Your hands, your body is itching. Something's going on. You know that somebody's talking either highly of you or lowly of you, but you know because your body is that intricate with this nerve system, with a living antenna system within it. So we know you got to tame your ego. You don't know everything, but you're acquiring new things, new knowledge. You must be grateful for how your life is, even if it's rough and difficult. You still have to somehow be grateful that you are alive and breathing, that you're present, that at any given moment, grace could embrace you and shower you at any given moment. Another thing is, as I say, strive to live your life without judgment. Strive not to judge other people. Sometimes we do. We're not, none of us are perfect. I've been there. I've judged other people. Sometimes it does happen. Then I got to correct it. Spend time living your life in silence. Silence is very important. Silence is like praying. Silence is like meditation. Silence is at the heart of prayer and meditation. It's that silent, that inner core of you. Now, what do you experience when you can walk around in your apartment with no TV playing, no radio playing? The computer's going to be on because it's plugged into the wall. TV's plugged in the wall, so there's a lot of electricity, electromagnetic energy running throughout your residence. But if you're fortunate, you can go outside, sit on your front step or your back step or on your porch, or just go work in the yard. Be in touch with nature. By being in touch with nature, that helps center and ground you. It helps uplift you. It helps release any tension that you have going on in your body, right? Because you're learning how to let go. Now, also in this thing called silence, in this zone called silence, you can actually hear your thoughts coming and going from you. You hear the thoughts of divinity and spirituality going through your body. You hear the inner feelings and thoughts given off by the cells in your body, trillions of cells. You have these experiences, and you have to acknowledge that you're having them. It's very good that you can get to a point within yourself that you become clear through silence. See, when you become clear through silence, what happens? You start understanding yourself on a completely different level. You start to understand the environment that you are in. You have better understanding of relationships and the kinds of relationships that you are in. It's not how many you have, it's the quality of the relationship that brings you more wellness, right? Makes you feel better. Not only making you feel better, but who you are in a relationship makes other people feel better about themselves. Everybody needs someone to talk to. Everybody. They say everybody needs a mentor. And sometimes the mentor needs mentees. They need people to mentor because this is how they know that they are mentoring. Another thing for mentor now is, coach people. I'm coaching people. Sometimes you can wear that word out. This is not being judgmental. I'm just saying these words will get worn out eventually. Just like the word psychic used to be a special word 40 years ago, and over time it got worn out. Then it became psychic counselor, spiritual counselor. It's not worn out yet. You can be a spiritual metaphysical teacher. an occult teacher, not worn out yet. The reason why I'm saying these things to you is that everybody that's listening to me right now, you in some way are a spiritual metaphysical counselor and teacher. Why? Because at some point you could be sitting in a park reading a book, doing prayer, doing ritual meditation, and because you're radiating the energy out from your heart bigger than your brain, people start showing up. People start showing up. Could be in a park doing Tai Chi and Qigong exercises, yoga exercises. Somebody's walking by 50 yards away with a dog. And all of a sudden the dog is going, what's this? Dog is tipping his head from side to side. It's smelling the scent that you're giving off in your body, but it's feeling thoughts. It can see your thoughts, the impressions, and it just wants to investigate. In fact, it looks at its carriers, master, go like, I want to go sit here. No, you can go on. I want to sit right here. I feel something, and it's inviting me. I feel a sense of peace. Dog knows it. Dog will sit because the peace is there. It's coming out of the space, the condition called silence. Here's another one. Work on your shadow self. Now, people writing books about shadow self. That's the next thing now. What is the shadow self? An old term for shadow self is lower self. The self that's hidden underneath the conscious part of yourself. Not like the subconscious. The shadow self is the side you keep in the closet you don't feel like showing to anybody else in the world. Not even partners, not even coworkers, not even family members, not even neighbors. That's the one that's in the closet. The shadow self is carrying a lot of baggage that you keep throwing in the back seat. The shadow self of you is holding on to old thought patterns, old emotional things, old things that no longer serve you. The shadow self is that part of yourself that has all this energy bogged down inside, all the garbage. In other words, you might be with someone who is very chippy all the time, okay, but hasn't achieved that status of chippiness all the time. So they come forth pretending to be very happy until something breaks them or breaks through the mental emotional barrier. And then you see them upset, crying, or angry, cursing, and carrying on, throwing things. That's what's in the shadow closet. So it's learn how to understand that part. Sometimes the shadow self is parts of yourself, certain elements or aspects of yourself that you don't know how to control, or you don't know how to come in touch with it enough without fear about it and begin to understand it. That's what the shadow self is. It's like light from above, light from the sun cast on upon you, and your body's in front of that light. It creates a shadow that you can see, right? That shadow's there because of what? It's from the light. You're standing in the light and it's hitting you, and what it doesn't come on the other side is the shadow. One side of you is lit by the light, but the other side of you is giving off a shadow. Now, from that shadow self, from those points where you may have been judging yourself or judging others, or caught up in a situation where others are attacking you with negative judgment and negative ego personalities and the shadow self, you have to learn why and how to disconnect from toxic people toxic relationships, toxic locations. And what does toxic mean? It means it's impure, it's poisonous, it is unhealthy. Now, I've counseled people spiritually and psychically. I've had clients, they're not on the planet anymore, so I could say this. I've had people who were in very bad toxic relationships. And people say, well, why does that person stay if that the husband is abusive? You have no idea that that husband is applying a narcissistic tactic. It's got the person living in fear, and it's hard. It's not easy, but they manipulate the mind so that the person lacks the courage in the heart and the mind to make a proper decision for themselves. Now, what was happening in this particular person's life that I'm thinking about? She and this guy had a son. They were legally married, they had a son. And excuse me, the son witnessed how the father was. There was a point when they got divorced and she had full custody of the son, but the father wanted visitation rights. He would do all kinds of things to create terror for his only son and create terror for his ex wife. And what was that? He knew what school that the young man went to. And he'd ride by there. He would figure out when recess time was. And he would ride out there and he'd go up to the gate. He wouldn't go on the property, but he would go up to the gate and see if he could call him over and talk to him. I remember one time that she had to get a stay away order on him, a very restrict. In other words, he couldn't be within a 10, 15-mile radius of their house. But he figured out all kind of ways. He get somebody to drive him. One day he went up to the school and created a bogus document that said that he could take his son out of school. And he was a very psychic man. He timed it just right. But he got that son right out of school. And then she came to pick him up, and he wasn't there. But what helped her was a very alert janitor, because he would always speak to the little boy, and he would speak to the mom whenever he saw them. He said, yeah, this man came up, dark hair, blah, 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 and described him to a T. She said, oh my goodness, that's my ex-husband. I have custody. This is not his time to come to the school and take the child off. So they bring the cops in and do all that stuff. Finally caught up with him. Here's the bottom line. You have to be able to recognize when you're in a toxic relationship, you're with toxicity, where it is in your life. You got to be able to recognize it. You got to be able to pour in there, look in there with a fine tooth comb, as they say, microscopic mind sight, and figure it out. Hey, I'm in a toxic relationship. I'm in a relationship with an abusive person, emotionally, mentally, and almost becoming physically abusive. I'm in a relationship where a person is trying to harm me or kill me. I remember one time a woman came to me at a place where I worked at. And when she came and I gave her a reading, I had this vision. Two of them hit me real quick. I said, her name was Leslie. I said, Leslie, are you going by your house to take more of your stuff out? She said, yeah, I'm getting the last of my stuff out. And I have to be there. This was during the summertime. Excuse me, coughing. She said, I have to be there by at least 2 or 3 o'clock to get this stuff. I said, Leslie, are you going through the front door or the back door? She says, well, I plan on going to the back door. I said, do you have an attached garage or unattached garage? She said, I have a detached garage. I says, Leslie. She says, what, babe? You need to call the police, Nassau County cops and the Belmore cops. And you need to tell them you feel like there's something wrong with that back door, like it could be explosives connected to that back door. She said, how am I going to tell them? I said, it's time for you to let them tears roll because you're a very emotional person. You're Aries. You got to let it out. You got to see it. Are you sure, Bay? I said, yes. I says, where will your son be? No, B. Oh, I have him set up at a play date. His dad don't even know where the people live. I says, great. That'll be good. I said, so you can't go to that house by yourself. You must call the Nassau County cops, detectives, and tell them, create a lie. And the lie is, it's going to be a good one. Tell them you had a dream that you went to the back door. And the minute you put your key and turn it, boom, the door exploded onto you. Tell them you're afraid. And you need some people there. You need some people there that know something about bombs. Well, she was able to convince them by going to the local Nassau County precinct in Belmore there on Long Island, as well as the Nassau County cops themselves, got them to show up there. And she said, yeah, guy showed up with the outfit and everything. He went to the front door and he didn't see anything attached to the front door, but he went to the back door and he also went to the garage door. And he knew that he said he's been in those situations before where you can go to the garage and click it or lift it up and boom, the whole thing explodes on you. So they went to the back door and they told her to stay away. They took everybody away but these experts. And guess what they saw? The husband did put something on, some kind of attachment on to the back door from inside the house. And what saved them and what allowed them to see this was the one thing that the ex-husband did not do. When you go into the back, there's like what they call the mud room, and then you step into the house, right? But you got to open that back door with a key. There was a mirror, an old style mirror on that thing in that part of the mudroom that was right angled right at the door. And they could see it. And they could see this gadget blinking. So, what did they have to do? Basically, what they had to do was take their time and figure out if there was anything connected to the front. Lucky, nothing on the front door, nothing on the side door. But if she go to that back door, it was going to explode when she stick her key in there and turn it. So they got into the house, and what they were able to see was that this gadget was on there. Now it wasn't set up by a time mechanism. It was set up when you put the key in there and turn it, boom, it's going to explode. And it had some things there that were explosives connected to that door. They had to take their time and cut those things away from that gadget and then dismantle that gadget. And they were able to do that. So he knew at some point that something was going to happen. I guess he was waiting to see. And what they were able to do, they were able to pull their cars away from the location. And they had somebody watching, people walking up and down the street. And he came back to the house. And they were able to get a hold of him. Of course, he said he don't know how it happened, but they were able to see. This is what I'm talking about, a toxic relationship, deadly toxic. And she had a hard time getting away, but when that happened, I was able to see that and offer that to her, and she was able to get them there to interrupt his task. Then that put her out of harm's way, and that's when she had the wake up call. I'm in a toxic situation with a narcissistic person, and I must protect myself and our son from him. Many of you have experienced at some point in your life a toxic relationship with a person. If you think about it, even you say, "Well, I don't know anybody that's that toxic," but you're going to know somebody at some point. Excuse me, that person might have been a bully in your life. You're going to see it, you're going to remember. And then it's going to cause you to think about the way certain people operate in your life. And then you're going to realize, yeah, they are toxic. Sometimes the toxic person will trigger you to be more toxic. When maybe you only got a little bit of toxicity in you, they'll cause you to bring it out through anger, through sadness, through doubt in yourself. Where you're fed up, you get so angry, now you act more like them than who you were in the beginning. Here's another. Do not worry. You are not an imposter. This is another thing people are throwing around out there. Imposter syndrome. What is it? It's you arrive at a certain point in your life and you're striving to get to this point to be someone different within yourself that makes a difference in the world, but you haven't been able to fully do it. Well, guess what? You are doing it. You are doing it. You're not an imposter, though. Because sometimes with the imposter syndrome is self hatred. Sometimes low self esteem is in there too. So you just have to think about it. Are you an imposter? I bet you that 90% of you that are listening, I'll say 99% point nine of you that are watching this video, you're not an imposter. You don't have imposter syndrome. Why? Because you're striving to do the right thing in every moment of your life. You're not an imposter. Don't let somebody walk up to you and say, "Well, you're experiencing imposter syndrome." Why? They are. Reverend Ike used to always say, "You always meet yourself wherever you go." So the person who's telling you that you are experiencing imposter syndrome, there's a strong possibility that they are. Because if they're trying to point it out in you, that means they haven't solved it in themselves yet. You're not pretending to be anyone other than yourself. You got to be yourself in order to grow and see where you're growing in life. You have to be more of yourself. And you will be better at being your true self. Why? Because you are not broken. We say that term sometimes. A person goes through a lot of life's difficulties, a lot of sadness. Now, if a person is going through a lot of sadness, I mean from broken homes as a child, bad relationships that they were involved in, where it was married relationship, non-married relationship, just shacking up, living with each other, or if you've been with friends that turn against you, you're doing the right thing, but they turn against you anyway. Why? Because they're trying to manipulate the way you think, the way you feel about yourself. Sometimes people that are doing that, they're very jealous about who you are. Yes, yes. Holly Hammond said they're projecting onto you. Why? Because they know they have imposter syndrome. They know they got a shadow self. They're hiding from you and hiding from themselves. But they rather project on you. Why? Because you're more innocent. They're trying to be like you. And it happens. People are trying to be like you. Have you ever realized that? A neighbor tries to be like you. You have a close friend who's always in competition with you. You're not trying to be in competition with them, but they're in competition with you. I've been around some people, used to go out, right? And I said, "Well, how we gonna go out tonight, fellas? People, how we going out tonight? Oh, just dress down. Why? Because they gonna dress up. They want to get the attention like a peacock over you. It's like, really? Dress neutral in between." I remember a time once I left the Moorish temple. So I used to wear the fez all the time, and I used to wear karachis and all of that. But once I decided to leave the temple, and I was with some other people who wore the turban and the fezzes and the karachis, and the waitress came up, "Oh, you all look so cool," and then turned to me, "How come you don't have one on?" And I had to say, because I don't feel like it. She said, "Oh, I didn't mean to upset you." I said, "You're not upsetting me. You're upsetting yourself. And you're letting these people who I know, who happen to be at that time family members, you're letting them dictate to you how they want you to treat me. And guess what? It ain't happening." So once I learned that about myself, then when people say, "Hey, let's go out. Let's go out to dinner," I said, "No, I got something else to do." Why all of a sudden you got something else to do? Because I do. I don't need to be other people's. You don't need to be someone's doormat. If you don't want to be a doormat, don't go out with these people. We all have people who like to show out in front of you to embarrass you. We had those kind of people. But this is why I say you're not broken. You just have misinformation about who you are, but you're not really broken. Don't allow someone to make you feel that you are broken because you're not. There's two more parts. Keep breathing and living as your higher self. Once you know who the higher self is, the higher self ain't out here walking around on the moon. It does go into the great central sun when your body's asleep, deep sleep mode. It's going in getting information. It's going in the great central sun vibration to bring something back that can help you as well as it will help itself. It's like it refuels itself in the divine source element of light and unconditional love. And the last thing, grace as divine grace, grace as a principle, as a virtue, divine grace helps you to do two specific things. Because I said in the beginning, what is grace? Grace is spiritually receiving help from a divine source. So we now know that the divine source is the greater aspect of yourself, your higher self, which is the divine reflection of the divine I am presence that we call by many different names: God, Holy Spirit, Spirit, you name it. Buddhic, Christ consciousness, you name it. And other um, powerful spiritual beings. Grace as divine grace helps you to transform, which means to change your outlook, change your thought process, change how you feel about yourself. It is said that when you meditate for very long periods of time, for very many days, especially years, consistently, eventually there's a communication between the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, the front lobe and the back lobe. That means the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are communicating with each other. And what happens is the prana, chi, or ki energy rising up around, braiding itself around your spine as well as in the spinal fluid inside the spine. Eventually, you begin to look younger. You notice you're living a better life. You may not have a lot of finances, or you may have a lot of finances, but one of the things that's happening is you're living a better life. You're not looking down on yourself. You're feeling better about yourself. You know that you're okay. That's one of the cool things. You know that you are all right in life. that no one can dictate who you are because you know who you are. And then you transcend. Now, what does transcend mean? It's better than ascend. Transcend means you can look across the plains of other lives that are bleeding in and out of the life that you're in right now, and you could pick out better ones that you lived in. So that means you can do what is called quantum jumping, quantum leaping. You could do it in your waking state while you're wide awake. You could be sitting somewhere in a restaurant and decide, hey, I'm going to drive a better car. I'm going to live in a better house. Or the community of people that I live amongst, they're going to treat me better, and I'm going to treat them better. Why? Because I'm living with humility. I'm living with gratitude. I'm being embraced and showered by grace as divine grace. That means the higher principles of the spirit world is now a part of my life, and I am thoroughly, deeply, richly connected to it and know it. You realize that you're feeling better about yourself each and every moment of the day. Reverend Ike used to say that. He said, before you start your day, once you get out of your prayer time and meditation time, once before you step outside, decide what you want to do for the day. Once you can decide what it is for yourself, then declare it for yourself. And then he says, start feeling the vibration of it. He used to say, let the feeling get the blessing, meaning that if you can feel a higher vibration within yourself where you begin to radiate unconditional love, peace, harmony, happiness, greater understanding, greater compassion, you feel automatically, magnetically prosperous and abundance. You feel that in your life. You know, they said some of the teachings of Sananda was, I came here to teach you so that you have more of an abundant life. Not a little one, but a bigger one. That's what the Jabez prayer is about. Jabez. All this that's around you, that's a part of your world. When I moved into this small complex, a small apartment, I had to think, oh, they got a spa outside, okay? They got an outdoor swimming pool, an outdoor jacuzzi. Even if it's never fixed up right, in my mind, it looks perfect. I have a small fitness room. In my mind, it looks perfect. A more recreational room, I go in there and shoot pool. I see a lot of people, and I envision people in there. Just met some people at a birthday bash yesterday. Oh, you shoot pool? Yeah, sometimes I come down and just relax. Well, we ought to get together and shoot some pool. I said, we should. It's here. Use it. Don't let it go to waste. Use it. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. That's what it's about. You're here on this. You decide to come here, yes, and work some things out. And as you work some things out in this lifetime, do you realize that you're blessing other lives that you have lived in? That's right. You're clearing this life and clearing other lifetimes that you have lived in. And now biometric scientists are saying that all these lives are running in tandem with each other. So that means if you are in a state of prayer and meditation, you can look through the veils around you and see yourself achieving other things. You can see yourself also having a rough time, and what you're going to do is bless that side too and get blessed by the one you're trying to connect with. That's why Reverend Ike says, whoever you meet, you see yourself. If we are seeing around us homeless people, you were once homeless. You will recognize yourself in that person. So what did he say? He said, never speak down on them, speak to them and speak over them, meaning bless them with some kind words. Always say bless you. Always say how you doing, bless you. Always say something that uplifts them. Why? Because many people are walking around, even not in the state of homelessness, but in the state of just being totally sad. Just would need somebody to smile in their direction, need somebody to say something that's positive, speak positivity into their life. I could tell you about 6 years ago. I was at a living at another place. So say I've been here 7 years. Yeah, it was about 6 years ago. Ten, actually, I'm gonna say 10 years ago, because I've been living in the state and in the city 13 years. And what happened? I was always walking by and seeing this homeless guy. Now, the thing was, he was sitting outside a supermarket and he was begging for money. And I saw him before he saw me. I saw him in my meditation before I even got to the location. And I said, I'm going to give him something, but I'm going to pray over this money so strong it's going to be a blessing for him. So, I saw him outside and he's sitting there. And I said, I'll be right back. I went and played some lottery numbers, broke a sizable bill, came back out, and rolled it up and handed it to him. He said, Mister, I was just looking for a quarter, a dollar. You gave me $20 and change. I said, yeah, I know. I said, I remember one time I had difficulties, not at the magnitude that you had, but I had lived through some difficulties. So I just want to seed this into your life, and I know that you'll be better. 3 days later, I didn't see him there. First thought in my mind was, hope he didn't get arrested. But hey, peace there, Z-Men. Photo 63. What happened was the person had begun to experience something, and then I saw him. So it's three days or so he wasn't there anymore. And my prayer was, I hope he didn't get arrested. 6 months later, I saw this guy. He was now in the fall. He saw me. I got off a bus and I was crossing the street. He said, "Hey, hey, hey!" And I'm like, "Who's that calling me?" I'm trying to cross this big street, and finally got across safely. Turned around. I didn't know who was waving at me, so I went into a donut mart, catch a little sandwich and coffee or something. He walks in there. Do you remember me? And I go, "Yeah, I remember you." He said, "You gave me $20 in change. I was only looking for a dollar or two or a quarter. You gave me that." He said, "But you said something to me that was very powerful, right? And I felt very good." And I said, about 2 days after that, which is interesting, I hadn't seen him in 3 days. He said, 2 days after that, a guy drove up. He said, "Are you looking for work?" I said, "Yeah, I could use a job." This guy owned houses, and he's got all these guys working on him. Some licensed, some not licensed. This is interesting. I said, "So did you go with the guy?" He said, "Oh yeah, I went with the guy." And the man asked me where was I living. I told him I didn't have a place to live. So the man took me to another house that was already built and completed. And he took me to the house, gave me the keys, and told me, "Don't you can't bring other people here. This is just for you until you could find something for yourself." He said, "But you're working for me, so I'm paying you." He said that man not only gave him the keys to that house so he could stand by himself, but that man sooner or later came back while he was there 6 months working for the guy at another house. The guy said, he decided to talk to his wife, and the wife met him, and the wife told him, "Why don't we just, we got a lot of houses. Why don't we just get the deeds and everything? As long as he's got ID, give him this house." That's what they did. They gave him the house. And he said, "Well, how am I going to pay for that? I just started working with you 6 months." He said, "My wife knows people. She understands people. She looked at you. She understood who you are. She said, 'Honey, let's give him the house.'" Now, what a blessing is that? He got a house here somewhere in Albuquerque that has 2 stories to it, a sizable backyard. with an attached garage, and he's the now new owner of that. But he told him, be careful about who you bring here. There's people in this neighborhood, they watching these houses. This guy eventually now had a house that he owned that was given to him as a gift. Not only did he have that, eventually he had a truck to ride around in, vehicle. Another 6 months after that. Beyond that, he was feeling better about himself. He said, I started going to school. I said, well, were you born here? He said, yeah, I was born here. I have 3 generations of me born here. I just needed an opportunity, a chance. I say this because that's how grace affected his life. Sometimes I tell stories. I don't want to keep it too long. But hey, grace embraced him, the spirit of grace. Why? Because in his heart and in his mind that he kept open, that he said always there's going to be something good for him. Something's good coming into his life. Something good is going to bless him. And at that moment, it was me, part of it, uplifting him with kind words, and then him meeting that man where he could work for him. And then within 6 months, the man gave him the house, deed and all. And 6 months later, within that time, he had a car. And now he's back on his feet. You see, we are instruments of peace. We are instruments of unconditional love. We are instruments of divine grace. We are instruments of compassion and understanding. We are instruments of humility. We are instruments of peace. That's what the late Dwayne Dyer said when he did the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. A part of that prayer was, let him be an instrument of peace. Dwayne Dyer, he grew up as a adopted child. So hey, an orphan child, so to speak. So you imagine he grew up like that and he became better. That guy, Dr. Joe Vitale, he lived homeless and now he's who he is, Dr. Joe Vitale, teaching all of these metaphysical things to people. The guy, Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote the book Conversations with God, had an okay life and then fell out somewhere and he became homeless and he started searching and he started finding. Boom, grace embraced him, grace showered him. Many people, many of us go through things. And I can tell you, grace will embrace you. Why? Because the spirit of grace is always with you. It is never has left you. It's been with you at the time of your inception into this world, into this 3D world in this lifetime. And guess what? In many other lifetimes, grace has showed up in your life. So this time around, I'm going to tell you that grace is not only in your life, but grace is empowering you and therefore will shower you. It will become your divine aegis. What is an aegis? Wings, divine protection. It will embrace you, encircle you. And not only will it affect you, but it's going to affect other people in your life. That's the beauty of being in the presence of divine grace as it embraces you and showers you. That's my message for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Melanie Hall from Australia is living in Friday. Be well, Melanie. Glad to see that you made it. Thank you, Stoked Culture. Thank you, Jackie Fillmore Antoine. Thank you, Holly Hemmett. Thank you, Rose Jefferson. There's some other people here. Let's see. Uh, Indigo Moon. You're in there. I know you're there. Thank you, Z-Man Photo 63. And if you're ever on Instagram, look up Z-Man Photo, Zeeman Photo 63. And why I want you to look him up? Because he has some very, very, very beautiful nature photography shots. He's a natural, self taught. Also, want to thank Carol, who's on here. Carol, I can't pronounce it, but I know who you are. I want to also thank FDCPA8 for being on here today. Kid Pebbles, one of my spiritual daughters. Thank you for joining me today. If you like this stuff, if you hear on Instagram like this, tell somebody that sometimes I'm on here doing stuff. Sometimes I'm doing a simulcast through Instagram account, as Instagram was iam.circle of grace 1, and here on Resident Essentials YouTube channel. And if you want to find out more things about me coming out of the closet as a Chandler, Chandler Knockanot, Nefertiti, and hybrid children, email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com, and I will give you the special website where I did two channelings, one on May the 11th and one on June the 1st. I participated with some other people channeling. So get in touch with me ASAP, okay? I'm also going to be teaching a class. I started Radiant Heart all over again, just started on June the 3rd, which was a Tuesday night. Just got started with it. Um, if you haven't taken it and you want to take it, it's still time for you to join in and get the teachings. Also, starting on Wednesday night, July the 2nd, for 8 weeks, I'm teaching a brand new 8-week course, and it's called Clear Blue Radiance is the Light Within. So many of you have been able to be here, Clear Blue Radiance, hear these teachings. Now, I got some specific lessons, classes that you're going to learn in this 8-week course. And the course is $440 for 8 weeks, but that's like $50, $55 per week, $55 per class. We can work it out. Email me at iam.circlegrace1 at gmail.com. And who was the other person? Stoked Peace. Oh, Stoked Culture. Thank you so much for joining me. Come back and view this as many times as you want. We'd like to see you do that. Whenever you hear, click on the like, which is the thumbs up. Let us know that you liked it. If you don't like it, you can click thumbs down. And if you want to stay neutral, don't click either thumbs up or thumbs down. Anyway, everybody, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to get out of here and catch some fresh air, catch some sunlight, and then come back and rest up a little bit because I got a big psychic fair to do Sunday out here for Resident Essentials, Esoteric School of Metaphysics, this Sunday, which is June the 8th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free admission, and then the prices vary if you're out here. Anyway, if you're out here too, people that living out here in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Los Lunas, Belen, I'm teaching back to teaching on Saturday, June the 7th. I'm back to teaching on Saturday, June the 7th. $10 each time I teach it. Teach the circle, which is creative pathwork meditations that I'm teaching. I'm teaching you how to get into the silence so you can meet up with your higher self. And that class is usually every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. just for $10. It's located at 2703. So when you come in to this section, 2703 Broadbent Parkway, Northeast, Suite J, the numbers are at the top of the corners of the building. You won't see them low, they're at the top. Looking at the door, you'll see the letter. Well, when you go in there, we're right behind, if you come off of Menal Boulevard, we're right behind Carrington Nursing College. So if you know what Carrington Nursing College is and how to get into it and then you pass it, go to the right, drive past and go around, and then you'll see some other buildings. And if you look over to your right, you'll see a building with a number on it, 2703. You don't go to the left side of the building, go more to the right toward the front and go into the parking lot area where you can't go anymore. Get out of the car, go to your right when you get out of the car. And then what you'll see is the letter J on the door, and that's where we're located. All right, everybody. My throat is tightening up. My higher self has shut me off. Hopefully, I'll see you here next Thursday, which will be what? The 12th. So looking forward to see you next Thursday here at either 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time for another exploration of clear blue radiance. All right, everybody. Take care of yourself. See you next time. Thank you for all the hearts and the stars and the hands, prayer hands, and high fives. See you soon. And if you need more information about my classes, you can go to my website, which is www.circleofgrace with the number one at the end, the numerical number one, .us, and then put a single forward slash. Boom, and it'll take you right there. All right. Take care of yourselves. See you soon. Have a great Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And what do I like to say? Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Now I'll sign out.